Patrick Johnson was a whirlwind of energy, a young black boy with a smile that could light up a room. He strolled through the university campus with an air of confidence that belied his humble beginnings. Growing up in a modest neighborhood, Patrick had always felt the sting of being underestimated. His family struggled to make ends meet, but he had learned early on that a well-placed story could elevate him from obscurity to admiration. And so, he spun tales, each one more extravagant than the last. To his classmates and teachers, Patrick was the son of a wealthy businessman, the kind of guy who threw parties with private jets and luxury cars. He would talk about vacations in exotic locations and the latest gadgets he supposedly owned. The truth, however, was far less glamorous. His mother worked long hours as a nurse, while his father was a mechanic with dreams that never quite took off. But why dwell on reality when the thrill of deception was so intoxicating? Patrick's lies flowed effortlessly, and over time they became a second skin. Even those who knew his true background were often met with grandiose stories, leaving them both amused and confused. He had mastered the art of deception, crafting his narrative to suit the moment, effortlessly weaving lies into the fabric of everyday life. Patrick is indeed a master in this line. His teachers, his friends had no choice than to forcefully believe him. It was a sunny afternoon, and the campus buzzed with the excitement of new beginnings. Freshmen hurried to complete their admission registrations, and Patrick was among them, though he had other plans in mind. He was determined to impress a girl he had met just a few days prior, Tara, a bright and ambitious young woman who had caught his eye. As he dashed toward the administrative building, Patrick couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to make an impression. He had heard rumors about Tara being somewhat of a campus darling, and he wanted to ensure she saw him as someone noteworthy. On his way, he spotted her sitting on a bench, looking at her phone. With a deep breath, he approached, feigning a casual demeanor. "Hey there," he said, trying to sound cool. "You looking for a tour guide? I happen to know this campus like the back of my hand." Tara looked up, her face lighting up with recognition. "Oh hey, I was just trying to figure out where the registration office is." "Patrick." "Lucky for you, I'm headed that way," he replied, a charming smile on his face. "By the way, I'm Salako Williams." Tara's eyes widened. "Salako Williams? The Salako Williams? I've heard of you. You're supposed to be really rich." Patrick, caught off guard but eager to impress, nods his head. Patrick felt a surge of exhilaration. "Yeah, that's me. Just got back from a trip to Ibiza, actually." "Wow, that's amazing," Tara replied, clearly impressed. She leaned in closer, and Patrick basked in the glow of her admiration. As they walked toward the registration office, Patrick felt an exhilarating rush. Each lie seemed to build upon the last, creating a grand edifice of deception that he was determined to maintain. Tara's questions were answered with ever more fantastic embellishments, talking about his family's estate and the charities. But unbeknownst to Patrick, danger lurked just beneath the surface of his carefully crafted narrative. Salako was not just a name. It was a persona tied to a group of boys who had recently attracted the attention of law enforcement due to their involvement in some criminal activities. The very name he had chosen to adopt was now a beacon for trouble. At the registration desk, Patrick's heart raced. The administrator, a stern-looking woman, glanced up as he approached. "What's your name?" she asked, her voice devoid of warmth. Patrick hesitated for a fraction of a second. He glanced at Tara, who was looking at him with anticipation, waiting for his answer. He felt the pressure of expectation bearing down on him. "I'm Salako Williams," he said, his voice firm but his insides churning. The administrator raised an eyebrow, her expression shifting as she glanced at her computer screen. "Just a moment, please." She began typing, and Patrick's heart pounded in his chest. Tara stood beside him, her enthusiasm waning as she sensed the shift in atmosphere. "Is everything okay?" Tara asked, her brow furrowing with concern. Before Patrick could respond, the administrator's voice broke through the tension. "We've received some reports regarding a Salako Williams. We need to verify your identity." Panic surged within Patrick. He knew he was not in any real trouble, but the weight of his lie felt heavier than ever. Tara looked at him, suspicion creeping into her gaze. "Patrick," she began, her voice low. "Is that really your name?" He swallowed hard, his mind racing. The lies he had told seemed to spiral out of control, and he felt a wave of shame wash over him. The door swung open, and a police officer stepped in. "We're looking for a Salako Williams," he announced. In that moment, everything came crashing down. Patrick's carefully constructed world of lies felt like it was unraveling before his eyes. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Tara looked at him with a mix of concern and disappointment. "Patrick," she said softly. The officer approached, his expression stern. "Are you Salako Williams?" Patrick hesitated, the gravity of the moment pressing down on him. He looked at Tara, who was watching him intently, and he realized he couldn't keep up the facade any longer. "No," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "My name is Patrick Johnson. I'm not Salako Williams." A murmur of surprise rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. The officer's demeanor softened slightly as he took in Patrick's confession. "Okay, Patrick. We just needed to make sure there wasn't any confusion. Salako is associated with a group we're investigating." The tension in the room began to dissipate, and Tara stepped closer to Patrick, her expression a mix of relief and empathy. "Why did you lie?" she asked gently. Patrick looked down, his cheeks flushing with shame. "I wanted to impress you. I thought if I was someone important, you'd like me more." Tara's expression softened. "You don't need to be anyone else. Just be yourself." In that moment, Patrick felt a surge of honesty wash over him. He realized that the lies had only distanced him from the connections he truly wanted. "I'm sorry," he said, meeting her gaze. "I've lied to everyone about my life. I thought I could escape my reality, but it just made everything worse." With the police officer satisfied, he stepped out, leaving Patrick and Tara in a moment of newfound clarity. As the weight of his lies lifted, Patrick felt lighter than he had in a long time. "I'm going to start fresh," he said, determination in his voice. "No more lies. Just me." Tara smiled, a hint of admiration in her eyes. "That's the best thing you could do, Patrick. I'd love to get to know the real you." As they walked out of the administrative building together, Patrick felt a mix of hope and fear. But as he glanced at Tara, he realized that honesty could lead to something far more rewarding than the hollow victories of deception. In the weeks that followed, Patrick embraced his truth. He shared stories of his life, not as a wealthy heir, but as a boy with dreams, struggles, and aspirations. Slowly, he built authentic friendships, including a blossoming connection with Tara, who appreciated him for who he truly was. Patrick learned that while lies might offer a temporary thrill, the joy of being genuine was far more fulfilling. And so, he stepped into this new chapter of his life. No longer Patrick the lie addict, but simply Patrick, a young man ready to face the world with honesty and courage.